शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरां सद्गुरु चरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। अतातो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा जन्माद्यस्य यतः. So the first sutra of Brahma Sutram we saw gives the introduction to the study. It indirectly presented Anubandha Chatushtayam. Now the stage is set for Brahma Vichara. Now Vyasacharya enters the Shastram proper. So the second sutra is the beginning of the Shastra. And it happens to be the second Adhikaranam also, known as Janmadi Adhikaranam. So in this sutra or in this Adhikaranam, the topic is Brahma Lakshana, or the definition of Brahman. Therefore, this sutra is also called Brahma Lakshana Sutra. And there is a well-known statement in the Shastras which says, Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhihi. Any object is established only through two factors. One is called Lakshanam and the other one is called Pramanam. Pramanam, it means a means of knowledge. And only if the object is established, that is only when the object is Siddham, then alone there is possibility of inquiry regarding the object. So the inquiry or analysis presupposes Siddhi. So the existence or the knowledge of the Vastu. Thus, first we require the Lakshanam of Brahman to inquire about Brahman. And once we know that, we make the inquiry. And even for the inquiry, we need the Pramanam. So now we make inquiry into Brahman, and it is possible only when we know there is Brahman. Therefore, we require Brahman Siddhi for inquiry. And for Brahma Siddhi, we require Brahma Lakshanam and Brahma Pramanam. This is the sequence, that's why I'm repeating this. And in the second sutra, Vyasa gives Brahma Lakshanam. And in the third sutra, he gives Pramanam. And in the fourth sutra, we get Brahma Vichara. That sutra is called Tattu Samanvayat, one of the very important sutras. And in this context, I will very briefly mention Shankaracharya's discussion at the end of the first sutra commentary, which I skipped at that time because now it is relevant in this context. Vyasacharya starts Brahman inquiry, and now the Purvapakshi, he asks a question. Are you talking of a Brahman that is known or unknown? Whether it is a Jnata Brahma Vicharahava or Ajnata Brahma Vicharahava, that is his question. And Shankaracharya says, either way, inquiry is not required. If Brahman is unknown, how can you make an inquiry? Unknown Brahman cannot be inquired into. And Brahman is not unknown, it is known through Veda Pramanam. That is why the word Brahman is familiar only to those who are familiar with the Vedas. If Vedas are not there, one cannot talk about a thing called Brahman. Therefore, Acharya says, when a Vaidika studies Veda, one comes to know that there is something called Brahman because Veda says, Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. Brahmavit apnoti param, satyam jnanam anantam brahma, all these sentences. And then he says, the very Brahman indicates the existence of an entity also. Not only I know it is there, but also know it is big. It is infinitely big. Because the word is derived from the root brih, brihate, brahmate, vriddhi. So, vriddhi arthatvad, all these meanings. So, brih means brih dhatu indicates expansion or bigness. And the word Brahma means the big. I come to know there is a big entity. Not only that, Acharya says, the very word big is a relative word. its meaning will vary from situation to situation. For example, the size of a mountain, or a house, or a person, an animal, or an insect, or a microbe, all are relative. Therefore, the dimension of bigness, the adjective, is defined by the noun here. Normally, we talk about the noun being qualified by an adjective. But now we say the adjective or the dimension of the adjective depends on the type of the noun. And when the Upanishad talks about Brahman, it uses a term big, not as an adjective, but it uses it as a noun itself, the big. So what is Brahman now? It is not big X or big Y, but it is the big. That means what? There is nothing to condition the bigness, because here the big itself is used as a noun, Brahma. So there is no adjective to condition the bigness. That is the first point you should know. It is unconditionally big, which means it is infinite. Just as we use existence as a noun and not as an adjective, referring to Brahman. This we have seen it earlier also. So therefore we find in the scriptures, adjectives are converted to nouns to say that we are not talking about relative things, but the absolute. Similarly, consciousness. Conscious we use as an adjective generally, but in Vedanta we use consciousness as noun. Therefore, Shankaracharya says at the end of the first Sutra Bhashyam, which I skipped, based on Veda Pramana, I come to know that there is an infinitely big entity called Brahman. And then he says further, naturally, when I hear about an infinitely big entity, I doubt the very existence of the entity itself, because I have never experienced an infinitely big thing. I have experienced things which are finite, time-bound, space-bound. Therefore, I get a doubt regarding its existence. And therefore, to remove that doubt, the scriptures say, Brahman is Atma. Brahman is myself. That means I should never doubt the existence of Brahman. Why? It will be doubting my own existence. Nobody doubts whether I am or not, because the very doubt presupposes my existence. Doubter cannot be doubted, because doubt cannot exist without a doubter. So Acharya says, very famous statement he says there, na kaschit nahamasmiti pratyeti. No one says I am not there. Therefore, there is no doubt regarding Atma Astitvam, the existence of Atma. Therefore, no doubt regarding Brahma Astitvam. So such a Brahman I come to know through Veda Pramana. Therefore, the inquiry is into known Brahman only. It is not unknown Brahman. We have known from the Vedas, and the Purva Paksha asks now, if Brahman is already known from the Vedas, why should you make an inquiry at all? Purva Paksha, he asks all wrong questions. Then Brahma Sutra need not be studied. The book itself is not required. Then Shankaracharya says, Shastra says there is Brahman, and that Brahman is Atma, and my problem is what? What is this Atma, or who am I? That is not clear. I don't have the clear knowledge of myself. It is because different philosophers have different contention regarding I, the self. The Charvaka says, I am the body. He says, who has seen the Sukshma Shariram? Who has seen the Sukshma Shariram traveling? He says, mind is an electrical phenomenon of the brain. It is not a substance. Therefore, what is thought, what is thinking, consciousness, emotion are all the brain's electrical phenomena only. That is the argument of the Charvaka philosopher, material scientist. Unnecessarily, you complicate by introducing the Sukshma Shariram, its travel. Actually, when I say all these things like Sukshma Shariram and travel, I expect people to be reasonably familiar. Otherwise, please refer to Tattva Bodha. So, taking another body, which nobody knows. He says body is the Atma. Who? The Charvaka says. Some others say sense organs are Atma. The Buddhist says mind is the Atma. In Dakshinamurti Stotram, Acharya said, Deham pranam apindriyan apichalam buddhincha shunyam viduhu Sri balanda jadopasa jadopamat Twahamiti Branta Brisham Vadinaha. So Nayayika says there is self which is beyond the body-mind complex. And it is Atma, which are many. Every individual has Atma. Why then these Advaitins talk about only one Atma? So they talk about many Atmas, and each Atma is infinite in size. Aneka Vibhu Atmanaha. Your Atma pervades mine, mine pervades yours. And not only that, the Atma is Karta, Atma is Bhoktacha. It does action, it is also enjoyer of actions. So all deal with what? Who am I question. Then the Sankhya and Yoga philosophers, they come and say, there are many Atmas. They are all pervading. But Atma is Karta, but Atma is only Bhokta. Bhokta, body is Karta, mind is Karta, but Atma is Bhokta. Atma enjoys. That is their argument. Of course, finally, there is Vedanta, Vedanta Atma, which is Ekaha, Sarvagataha, Akarta, Abhoktacha. Thus, regarding Atma, so many confusions are there. Therefore, Shankaracharya concludes, inquiry is required. And what was Purvapakshi's inquiry? Brahman is known or unknown. So, unknown Brahman cannot be inquired. Known Brahman need not be inquired. But what is our answer? Brahman is neither totally known nor totally unknown. But it is unclearly known from the Shastram. And therefore, apata jnanam vartate. Apata jnanam means partial or unclear knowledge or paroksha jnanam. They say also. Therefore, Brahman being unclearly known, Brahma Vichara is required to convert unclear knowledge into clear knowledge. So Acharya shows there is this pramana for Brahman, which is Veda Pramanam. And in this sutra, Vyasacharya says, Brahma Lakshanam api asti. Brahma Lakshanam also is there. Now we will go to one more topic. These are all done under general analysis of the sutra. As I told you earlier, we will do general analysis, word analysis, and conclusion. So now we give the general analysis. And then for the second sutra, we are going to see that. And here we see it has a Brahma Lakshana Sutra, as I mentioned earlier. Lakshanam is required for what? Brahma Siddhi. Now this Lakshanam or definition is again of two types. One is called Swarupa Lakshanam and the another one is called Tatastha Lakshanam. When an object is defined through its intrinsic feature, it is called Swarupa Lakshanam or direct definition. And when an object is defined through its incidental or temporary features, which is not intrinsic to that object, then it is called Tatastha Lakshana. Tataha means bank of a river. Sthaha means remaining. So Tatasthaha means that which remains on the bank. It is not part of the river or inside the river, but aloof from the river. So from this expression in the Shastras, Tatasthaha means something that is away, that is aloof, that is incidental, that is not intrinsic nature. That is called Tatastha Lakshana. So for Swarupa Lakshanam, one Laukika example normally we give is what? Prakrishtaha, Prakashaha, Chandraha. Moon is that object most luminous, brightest in the sky. This is the example they give. We use the definition of Prakrishta Prakashaka for moon. So many luminaries are there in the sky, so many stars and all. Through brightness, we have defined moon then. Because the one in the night sky, the one that looks the brightest is the moon. Brightness of the moon is intrinsic feature of moon. Let's not use science here. This is how Shastra defines. Brightness of the moon is intrinsic feature of the moon. Whenever I experience the moon in the sky, it is bright. So it is intrinsic. Or in Shastra, when you say Brahman is Jnanam, then that Jnanam is intrinsic feature of Brahman. So it is Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman. So Sat Brahman is Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahma. Anandam Brahman, Swarupa Lakshanam. So since Sat, Chit, Ananda, they are all intrinsic features. Therefore, what is Swarupa Lakshanam? Swarupam Sat Vyavartakam. Swarupa Lakshanam is Sat Vyavartakam. It is the intrinsic feature of an object which defines an object. Now we will see an example for Tatastha Lakshana. When you show Devadatta Graham, actually in Shastras and all, they give names like Devadatta and all, not all modern names that we are used to. So somebody wants to know the house of Devadatta in a village or town, whatever place. You can define by telling the features of the house. If I tell the intrinsic feature of the house, it is Swarupa Lakshana. And I find, for example, in developments these days, they build not one or two houses, hundreds of houses, and they are all almost carbon copies. So I find all houses are built similarly. I have to give some other identification. And I see, for example, a crow sitting on Devadatta's house. So I say to a stranger, Kakavad Graham. Devadatta Graham is that. I have defined his house as the one on which a crow is sitting. So crow is incidental feature of the house. So for example, when the crow goes away, it will not be Devadatta's house anymore. And if the crow shifts also the house from one house to the another, then that house will become Devadatta's house. Therefore, I have made use of an incidental temporary feature to define a house. Therefore, Tatastha Lakshanam is Kadachittam Sat Vyavartakam. Kadachit bhavati iti Kadachittam. Kadachittam means Kadachit bhavati. So crow is Kadachittam and not Swarupam of the house. So Kadachit means it's Anityam. The worldly example is Kakavad Graham, Devadatta Graham. And what is the Shastric example? Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. It is Jagat Karanam Brahma. Brahman is that which is the cause of the universe, Jagat Karanam. We should know it is a Tatastha Lakshanam or Swarupa Lakshanam. That is the question we should ask. Whether world is intrinsic or incidental feature of Brahman is the question. We know world is only incidental. Before creation, there was no world. After Pralaya, there will be no world. So, Jnana Anantaram for a Videga Muktaham, Sarvada Nasti. After gaining self-knowledge, Sarvada Nasti, nothing is there. Therefore, world is only an incidental feature or Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. And the second sutra presents Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. So, Brahma Tatastha Lakshana Sutram is the second sutra. He said Brahma Lakshana Sutram, and particularly Brahma Tatastha Lakshana Sutram is the second sutra. Now we will see the general overall meaning of the sutram now. The sutra is what? Janmadhyasya yataha. That is the sutra. This sutra is grammatically incomplete. Therefore, we supply two words to complete this sutra. And we can ask the question, why can't Vyasacharya himself add those words? Because sutram should be alpaksharam, asandigdam, all those definitions we saw. It should have minimum number of words. It should have minimum words as much as possible. Therefore, whatever word can be revealed through implication, Vyasacharya will not write it explicitly. Therefore, it is our job to supply, actually it is in Sanskrit, it is called Adhyaharaha. Supplying the missing element to complete the sutra grammatically. Entire sutra literature will involve Adhyahara because the author will not complete depending on the context. For example, I go to a hotel with a friend and I tell the server to give him a cup of coffee. And then I say to him, to the server, give me also one. When I say that, it is implied, give me a cup of coffee only, not anything else. So here, what is Adhyahara? Tad Brahma. Tad Brahma, the two words we have to supply. So the final sentence will be Janmadi Asya Yataha Tat Brahma. Actually, we can add one more word also, Bhavati, to make it even more clear. So Brahman is that from which the origin of the world, etc. takes place. In simple Sanskrit, Srishtyadi Karanam Janma. Janma means Srishti here. Srishtyadi Karanam, and Janma means Srishti. And etc. etc. includes Sthiti and Laya Karanam also. Therefore, what is the final definition of Brahman? Jagat Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam Brahma. Brahman is that from which origination, existence, and resolution of this universe takes place. And the sutram is what? Janmadi Asya Yataha. And this sutra gives Brahma Lakshanam, he said. To be specific, we give the Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahma. And the word Asya, Asya means of this. It uses a pronoun Asya, Asya Jagataha, of this world. And Yataha, from which cause? Tad Brahma, that is Brahman. So final meaning is what? Brahman is the cause. From that cause, the origin, etc. of the universe takes place. Simply put, it is Jagat, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karanam, Brahma. This is the general meaning of the whole sutra. Now we will see two more points also in the general analysis. We have not come to word analysis yet. General analysis. As we said, Brahma Sutra is what kind of grantha it is? Nyaya Grantha. So we said it's a Nyaya Grantha, a book of logical analysis. Therefore, every sutram presents a logical statement. Nyaya and Anumana Vakyams. These terms should be familiar by now to us. So the Nyaya Vakyam is Brahma Asti, Lakshana Sattvad, Dharmavat. Brahman exists, Brahma Asti, because there is Lakshanam, Lakshana Sattvad. For Brahman, just as Dharma, Dharmavat. So yatra yatra Lakshana Sattvam, tatra tatra Vastu Siddhihi. Because Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Iti Nyayena, I started this lecture, today's lecture, with that statement only in the beginning. So Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhihi. Therefore, Brahma Asti, Lakshana Sattvatem, Gatavat, like a part. And once we prove the existence of Brahman through Lakshanam, then we can do inquiry of Brahman. Since Brahma Vichara is impossible without Brahma Siddhi, as we said earlier, the second sutra talks about Brahma Siddhi. This is the Nyaya Vakyam. Then Vishaya Vakyam of this sutra we have to see. We said Brahma Sutra is not independent work of Vyasacharya. That we established earlier itself. This is analysis of Veda Anta Vakyani. Vedanta Vakyani, Veda Anta Vakyani. No idea is of Vyasacharya here at all. He only analyzes the Veda Vakyam. Therefore, he should keep an appropriate Vedanta Vakyam in mind when he writes a sutra. So he does not explicitly state what is that statement. He doesn't explicitly state in the sutra. Therefore, different commentators get into different opinions also about the Veda Vakyam. Fortunately for us, we have Shankaracharya. He gives the Vishaya Vakyam wherever it is there. So here the statement occurring in the Taittiriya Upanishad 3rd chapter called Bhriguvalli, that is what is kept in mind. In that chapter, the first canto of that chapter, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, ye najata nijivanti, yat prayante visamvishanti, tad vijigyasasva, tad brahmeti. That from which these things, these beings are born, that by which when born they live, that into which departing they enter, that you seek to know, that is Brahman. That is the advice was given to Bhrigu by Varuna, his father. So this Bhriguvalli Vakyam is Brahma Tatastha Lakshana Vakyam. Now let us see what it is. Yato va imani bhutani jayante. Brahman, it says Brahman is Srishti Karanam. Imani bhutani jayante. The entire bhutam, all these bhutas come from. Yena jatani jivanti. Brahma is the Sthiti Karanam, sustained by them, by the Brahman, all of them. Yet prayante visamvishanti. Brahma is the Laya Karanam. Tad Brahma, Jagat Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam Brahma. That is the meaning of this particular Upanishadic statement. This is the Vishaya Vakyam of the second sutra. With this, now we are concluding. the general analysis of this sutra. Now we have to go to the next step, which is word analysis. I already told at the beginning, we are going to analyze every sutra using these three things. First, general analysis we'll give, then we will do word analysis, and then we will also do a conclusion. And for each of them, there are parameters which I have already described. And the first word in this sutra is Janmadi. Janmadi is a compound word. It consists of two words, Janma and Adi. Simply put, Janma, etc. Janma, Adi means Janma, etc. or Srishti, etc. And now Shankaracharya points out, etc. includes two more phenomena also, namely Sthiti and Laya. Therefore, it is Bahuvrihi compound. I'm going to mention briefly about that in maybe in the next lecture, perhaps, about the samasas, Bahuvrihi and the samasas, some information on that. So indicating Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, of course, of this universe. So now, one Purvapakshi, he gives another suggestion. Sankaracharya has interpreted Janmadi as Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, so three phenomena to the universe. That is, it refers to Janmadi Trayam. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Trayam. All these three. Now this Purvapakshi, he says that there is another book called Niruktam. Niruktam of a famous Muni called Yaska Muni. All are there in the Bhashya. So Yaska Muni Pranitam Niruktam. So in that Nirukta work, Nirukta means etymology. In that Nirukta work, Yaska points out every object in creation goes through sixfold phenomena. He calls it as Shad Bhava Vikaraha. Shad Bhava Vikaraha. Modifications. Vikaraha means modifications, changes. Bhavaha means Padartha. So therefore, Shad Bhava Vikaraha means six conditions or states or modifications or six phenomena. And to enumerate them, he starts the enumeration with Janma. Janma means the creation. Asti means potential. It is in potential form, potential existence. Jayate, it is born. Vardate, grows. Viparinamate, matures, changes. Apakshiyate, decays, and ends with Vinashyati, it dies. I hope you remember this again from Tattva Bodha, all from Tattva Bodha. So now refers to this, there it is said when referring to Stula Shariram, the gross body. So the only difference is in Tattva Bodha we started with Asti Jayate Vardate, whereas Yaska Muni he starts in his Nirukta Grantha starts with Jayate and then Asti. First one is Janma. Therefore, from Nirukta, we come to know that every object in the creation goes through Janmadi Shatkam, according to this particular scholar. 6 changes. Therefore, the suggestion of the Purvapakshi is, in the sutra, when Vyasacharya writes Janmadi, Shankaracharya takes it as Janmadi Trayam. And the Purvapakshi suggests Janmadi Shatkam. Therefore, Brahman is Janmadi Shatka Karanam and not Janmadi Traya Karanam. That is his argument. And Shankaracharya gives 2 answers for that. And the first answer is what? Yaska's Nirukta Grantha, that is etymology, it is derivation of Vedic words. While studying the Mundaka Upanishad, we discussed this word in Nirukta. In Mundaka Upanishad, there is a particular statement, Tatra Pararigvedo Yajurvedaha, Samavedo Atharva Vedaha, Siksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam Chando Jyodishamiti. That is the statement we saw in Mundaka Upanishad. There we saw Nirukta. Nirukta means Shastram of derivation of Vedic words. And there are many Nirukta words, but most famous is Yaska Pranitam Nirukta, among the so many other ones. And Shankaracharya points out, after all, Yaska is a human being. Therefore, Nirukta is what? A Paurusheya Grantha of a human origin. If he discusses modification, Janmadi Shatkam, he can talk about objects within the creation only. He cannot discuss the whole universe because human intellect does not have the access to study the Jagat Karanam. He cannot talk about origin of Akasha, Vayu, and Agni Utpatti and all that thing, because he himself came after all those came. So he cannot talk about the Pancha Bhuta Utpatti at all. Therefore, Yaska's discussion is confined to Baudhika Prapancha, the object obtaining within this universe, like a human body, buildings, those things. Therefore, Janmadi Shatkam is with respect to only Baudhika Prapancha, objects within creation. Here, what we are doing, we discuss about the whole cosmos, including the Baudhika Prapancha, Bhuta, Desha, Kala, Utpatti, space, time, creation, all of them. Therefore, since the context is Samashti Prapancha, Yaska's discussion is irrelevant in discussion of Jagat Karana Brahma. That is Shankaracharya's approach. And further, Purvapakshi doesn't give quiet. He gives an answer. Why you say Yaska's work is Paurushaya Grantha? Why can't you say his book is also based on Shruti Pramanam? If Nirukta is taken as a Smriti Grantha, the advantage is what? Even though it is Paurushayam, it gets validity of Apaurushaya Grantha, similar to Brahma Sutra, because it is not his intellectual produce, but based on Shruti Pramanam. Like the Bhagavad Gita, all Smriti Granthas are Paurushaya Granthas only, but they enjoy Apaurushaya status because they are based on Shruti Pramanam. That is why Kalidasa says, Shrute Rivartam Smritiranta Gachati. He said, so Smritiranva Gachati, what? Because they are all from Shruti Vakyams only. So Smriti discusses a topic based on Shruti. Therefore, Smriti also must be given as much Apaurushaya status. So the Purvapakshi says, Janmadi Shatkam can be taken as dealing with the entire cosmos. Because even though he cannot independently discuss the entire cosmos, his discussion is based on Shruti Pramanam only, based on Vedas. Therefore, Yaska's views are relevant to us. What is the advantage? Then the meaning of Janmadi will be Janmadi Shatkam instead of Janmadi Trayam. The 6 aspects are not 3, for which Acharya gives the answer now. He says, you say Yaska's Vakyam is relevant because it is borrowed, it has borrowed validity. But I comment based on original intrinsic validity of Shruti Vakyam. So now tell me which one is better. I depend directly on Shruti, which talks about Janmadi Trayam and not Janmadi Shatkam, because Shruti talks about only Janmadi Trayam. Therefore, the answer is Yaska deals with only Baudhika Prapancha and we deal with Bhuta Baudhika Prapancha. So we have to take the Shruti Pramana only. Therefore, Janmadi should be taken as Shrishti, Sthiti, Bhanga. Acharya uses the word Bhanga for Laya. This is the first answer he gives. And the second answer is a simple answer. Vyasacharya has written the entire Brahma Sutram to analyze Vedanta Vakyas. That is why it is called Vedanta Sutrani also. I introduced this term earlier. And it is also called Uttara Mimamsa Sutrani. So the very name suggests that the started purpose of Brahma Sutra is analysis of Vedanta Vakyas. Therefore, when Vyasa uses the word Janmadi, one should give the meaning in keeping with Vedanta Vakyas and not Nirukta or any other Vedanta Vakyas. Then if it is the analysis of Yaska's statements, it will not be Vedanta Sutrani, then it will be what? It will be Nirukta Sutrani. Therefore, also, we should give the meaning in keeping with Vedanta Vakyam, which deals with Janmadi Trayam only. Therefore, Janmadi means Srishti, Sthiti, Laya of the Jagat, the universe. Then what about Shat Vikaras? Because the Shat Vikaras we are very familiar from Tattva Bodha itself. We certainly will include them also in these 3. In these 3 also we will include that in those 6. Therefore, the primary meaning of the Janmadi is Srishti, Sthiti, Laya only. But by implication, we may include the other 3 also. So the Purvapakshi, his first objection is answered. Now comes the second objection from the Purvapakshi. He says, in Vedanta and Shastras, that Srishti, Sthiti and Laya are a cyclic process. You Vedantins do not accept a linear creation at all. They are still telling the Vedanta. If this Srishti is because of Purva Karma, and its Purva Karma is because of its own Purva Karma, then you will ask how the first karma came. This is the common question people always ask. And the Vedantin circumvents this by saying it is a cyclical process. It's a cyclical process. Janma, karma, janma, karma, janma, karma goes on forever. And all indicate that Srishti, Sthiti, Laya is a cyclic process. And what is the pramanam we have? Actually, in Bhagavad Gita itself, the Lord said, Avyakta avyaktaya sarvaha prabhavantyaha ragame ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta sanyake. 8th chapter. Avyaktadini bhutani yaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidanan eva tatraka paridevana. Again, second chapter. So all these indicate Srishti, Sthiti, Laya will be followed by again Srishti, Sthiti, Laya endlessly cyclically. And having quoted our statement, the Purvapakshi says, if Srishti, Sthiti, Laya is cyclic process, you cannot say which one is beginning then. Srishti, Sthiti, you are saying Srishti is beginning. If it is cyclical, you cannot then say Srishti is beginning. It can be anything. The beginning point is an end point also. This being so, the Purvapakshi asks, how did Vyasacharya say Janma Adi Asya Etaha? Because the word Adi means beginning with. Janma Adi means Janma Adi Asya means that so it means starting from Janma. So the translation should be what? The three phenomena of the world beginning with Janma is the statement. And Purvapakshi asks how it is taken as beginning with Janma, why not beginning with Laya? Being a cyclical process, that is the question. Like, so it instead of saying Janma Adi, we can say Sthityadi. So, or Laya. Why it should be Janma Jase Etaha? And Shankaracharya gives two answers for that. Even though it is a cyclical process, the first answer is even though it's a cyclical process, and therefore we cannot talk about the beginning in these phenomena, our comprehension goes in a particular order. In the events, there is no order. But in our understanding, this is called Pratipatti, there is an order. How? If I have to talk about Laya of something, the topic of Laya presupposes what? The existence, sthiti of the thing. Whatever doesn't exist only can have an end. So an existing thing alone can have resolution. Again, if I have to talk about the existence of something, that existence presupposes what? The origin. So understanding of Laya presupposes the concept of Sthiti, and understanding of Sthiti presupposes the concept of Srishti or origin. That is why in our common parlance also, once a child is born, one can talk about existence, and once existence is there, and later one can talk about Laya. So Shankaracharya says the understanding requires this logical sequence. As Swami Dayananda says, born is gone. He uses this statement. Born is gone. Born refers to Srishti. Is refers to Sthiti. And gone refers to Laya. So born is gone. Therefore, Pratipatti Kramaha is presented by Vyasacharya here. The order of comprehension, the understanding. So Vyavaharika Drishtya, this is the first answer. So the conclusion is what? Janma Adi only we should say, not Sthiti Adi or Laya Adi. And the second answer is what? After all, Vyasacharya writes a sutra, keeping a Shruti Vakyam in mind. So one cannot blame Vyasacharya for anything. Why? His aim is analysis of the Upanishad Vakyam. When he writes the sutra, he keeps the Shruti Vakyam, Upanishad Vakyam in mind. Even though there is no order, because it is cyclical, Shruti gives a particular order, the Veda gives. Therefore, choice of the order is not of Vyasacharya. The choice of the order is that of the Veda. If you have objection to the order, please go and ask whom? Ishvara, who is the author of the Shruti. Not only Vyasa, one will find anywhere also in the scriptures the same order being maintained. Bhava pyayauhi bhutanam shrutav vistara shomaya tvatta kamala patraksha mahatmyamidi chavyayam. Gita Acharya said in the 11th chapter, Bhava apyayauhi bhutana. Bhavaha means Janma. Apyayaha means Layaha. So in Gita also, that is the order. Arjuna says, I have heard from you in detail about the origin and dissolution of beings and your immutable glory. And also in Srimad Bhagavatam also begins with, there is a Dhyana Shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasya yaton vayadi taratas charteshva vigyaswarat tene brahma hridaya adi kavaye mukhyanti yat surayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrishah dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi dharma pronjita kaita votra paramo. So the second sloka. So Janma, the first one. Second is Dharma, which deals with Brahman and Dharma. So what is the Brahman? So it is also in Srimad Bhagavatam also. That's the Krama. And what is Brahman? Janmadhyasya yataha. Actually, because my Matrubhasha is Tamil, so I have to at least say something from Tamil language also. Of course, it's valid for all Indian languages. In every language there are literature. In Tamil literature, there is a text called the Kamba Ramayana. The Ramayana written by a poet called Kamba. So we have got so many Ramayanams. This one. Ulakam Yavayum Tamula Vakalum Nilai Peruttalum Nikalum Ningala Alahila Vilayatudayar Avar Talaivar Annavarke Sharannangale Ulakam Yavayum Tam Ulavakalum Nilai Peruttalum Nikalum. Ulavakal means creating, Nilai Peruttal Sthiti, and Nikal means Laya. Same order. Therefore, all Shruti, Smriti, Idihasas, Puranas, Granthas in all languages, all, of course, Bharatiya languages, they talk about Janmadi alone. Therefore, Janmadi alone is correct. So now with this, we will also complete the word analysis of Janmadi. Now we have to come to the next word, Asya. Asya, as I told, is a simple pronoun of this. That's what it means. So, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya of this. And Vyasa does not say what is meant by this, because a pronoun can stand for any noun. Since Vyasa has not mentioned any particular noun, we should include all nouns for this pronoun. Therefore, Asya. Asya means Sarvasya Jagataha, Samastasya Jagataha. And Vyasacharya has used this pronoun, the pronoun this, and not that. According to grammar, pronoun this is used for something that is available in front. If it is not accessible in front, then we will use the pronoun that. Therefore, final meaning is what? Final Asya is Pratyaksha Gocharasya Prapanchasya. The sixth case of this should be connected with the previous word Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. So when we combine these two, we get the final meaning. What is that? Pratyaksham, Prapanchasyam, Srishti, Sthiti, Layaha, the origin, etc. of this visible, objectifiable universe takes place because of which cause? That cause is Brahman. With this, the meaning of the word Asya is also over. Now the third word, Yataha. Yataha, Acharya writes, Yasmat Karanat Sambhavati Tad Brahma. Because of which cause all these things take place. All these means what? The Pratyaksha Prapancha Srishti Sthiti Laya. Whatever is the entire cosmic makeup. Now the question is, which Karanam Shruti refers to, Veda refers to here? The Karanam also is twofold. Namely, Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. All these definitions, I expect you know. If you don't know, please refer to Tattvabodhaniya lectures. Nimitta Karanam means the instrumental cause, Upadana Karanam means the material cause. To use actually Swami Dayananda this expression again, the maker, the Nimitta Karanam, and material, the upadana karana, the maker and material. So both are required for any karyam to take place, for any effect, for any product. Directly we can come to our conclusion that since Vyasacharya talks of Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam here, we can say directly Karanam refers to Upadana Karanam. The reason is what? Nimitta Karanam or intelligent cause is responsible only for creation, Srishti of a thing, and not for Sthiti and Laya. Nimitta Karanam is defined. For example, if you take a pot, the potter is the Nimitta Karanam to make the pot. He creates the pot. But for pot to sustain or pot to grow, he is not required. It can happen by any means. So, Nimitta Karanam is defined as Srishti Matra Karanam, only Srishti, creation. Whereas material cause, Upadana Karanam, is defined as Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam. So, for all the three. So therefore, the primary meaning of yataha is what? Is upadana karanam. And here it is not srishti matra karanam, but it is srishti sthiti laya karanam because janma dhyadi. Therefore, yataha means srishti sthiti laya karanam. And later on inquiry, we find jagat cannot have two karanams. In case of worldly objects, we can have separate nimitta and upadana karanam. But we are talking about the cause of the entire universe, which includes even space and time, desha and kala. So we talk about karanam, which is beyond space and time. We have seen in Dakshinamurti Stotram, the Maya kalpita desha kala kalanam vaichitriya chitri kritam. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitriya chitri kritam. If we talk about that cause, which is beyond desha and kala, space and time, that karanam should be ekam eva advitiyam. It has to be only one. Ekam, one, eva, only, advitiyam without two. So it's also precious like. Anyway, we have seen all that in the Upanishads. So we can say it should itself serve as upadana karanam, and as there is no second thing, it itself should serve as nimitta karanam also. Therefore, the second meaning of the word yataha means what? Nimitta karanam also. And the direct primary meaning is upadana karanam. And since there is no separate nimitta karanam, we have to include nimitta karanam also. Therefore, the final meaning of yataha is abhinna nimitta upadana karanat. Yator nanabi srijate grinnate cha. We saw that statement in Mundaka Upanishad. Urnanabi means the spider. As a spider is both the material cause and the instrumental cause for creating the web, spider's web. The final meaning of the word yataha is that from which material and intelligent cause the world has srishti, sthiti, laya. That abhinna, nimitta, upadana karanam is Brahman. So now if you put the definition in Sanskrit, yasmat abhinna, nimitta, upadana karanat asya pratyaksha prapanchasya srishti, sthiti, layaha sambhavanti tat abhinna, nimitta, upadana karanam Brahma. That is the definition. Now one more step we should go. In the definition, Brahman is that from which Srishti, Sthiti, Laya takes place, we already said. And Shruti uses the word Yatova, Ima, Nibhuta, Nijayante, Ye Najata, Nijivanti, Yat Prayante, Bisamvishanti, Tad Brahma. That from which Srishti, Sthiti, Laya takes place. So the Upanishad uses the pronoun that from which, that. But it does not say that from which. That is homework for whom? Bhrigu. Because his father, Varuna, he approached his father. So actually in Taittiriya Upanishad, this is the third chapter. If you remember the context of Bhrigu, Bhrigu, the son of Varuna, he approached his father for self-knowledge. And Varuna, the father, did not want to give the complete knowledge, teaching to him. And he said that X, from which Srishti, Sthiti, Laya takes place, that is Brahman. Go and find what it is. So he gave that homework to his son, Bhrigu. Using yataha, he gave only the tatastha lakshanam and not swarupa lakshanam of Brahman. So that was left for the Shishya to do homework, to inquire and find out. And Bhrigu was an intelligent Shishya, and therefore Annam Brahmeti Vejanat, Prano Brahmeti Vejanat, Mano Brahmeti Vejanat. He went on analyzing each one. Annam, food, then Prana, then Manas, Vijnana, all that. So he substituted the letter X by Annam, Prana, Manaha, Vijnana, and finally he discovered Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat, Anandadye Vakal Vimani Bhuta Nijagante, Anande Najata Nijivanti, Anandam Pragantya Vishamvisantiti, Saishaba Argaviva Runi Vidya, Paramevyo Man Pratishtita. He concluded Ananda is Brahman. So that X is Ananda Swarupam Brahma. That is what he concluded, because of which Srishti, Sthiti, Laya takes place. So the word Yataha means Ananda Swarupam Brahma, which is the Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman. So Jagat Karanam is Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. And now we have seen the three meanings for Yataha. First we said Yataha is Upadana Karanam. Next Yataha is Nimitta Karanam. And now we say Yataha is Ananda Swarupam Cha. And now if we have to reword the sutra, how we have to write now? Yasmat Prapanchasyam Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanat Ananda Swarupat Asya Pratyaksha Prapanchasyam Srishti Sthiti Layaha Sambhavanti Tat Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam Ananda Swarupam Brahma Bhavati. That should be the elongated sutram. Therefore, the word Yataha reveals Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, which is Tatastha Lakshanam, and Ananda Swarupam, which is Swarupa Lakshanam. Primarily it is Tatastha Lakshanam and indirectly it is Swarupa Lakshanam. Therefore, this sutra is called Brahma Lakshana Sutram, Tatastha Swarupa Lakshana Dvaya Sutram. Lakshana Dvaya means both the Lakshanas. With this, the word analysis of Yataha is over. So, general analysis is over, word analysis is over of each word. Now, two more words are left, which were not written by Vyasacharya, that we said earlier. We supplied those two words, Tad Brahma, that is Brahman. So, Acharya, Shankaracharya adds one more feature of Brahman also. We have already seen three features. Which are the three features? Upadana Karanam, Nimitta Karanam, and Ananda Swarupa. Now, Shankaracharya arrives at one more feature. It is based on the idea, once we know the intelligent cause, the amount of intelligence can be inferred from the nature of the product. I mean, look at the granularity of details. The amount of intelligence can be inferred from the nature of the product creator. Greater the product is, more intelligent must be the creator. Seeing the nature of children, for example, what they say, oh, these parents are very blessed to raise such, give birth to such nice children. And the other way also. Similarly, from the nature of Sishyas, the capacity of the Guru is also assessed. So every Guru takes a risk. Therefore, this is the general thing. As the product is, so must be the intelligence. Now the Acharya says, if you see the vibhuti of the world, the glory of the world, its greatness, then we can definitely conclude that Brahman or Ishvara is Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman. Here we have to understand one thing. When Brahman is seen as Karanam, he gets the name Ishvara. Actually, this all we should be very familiar again with Tadvabodha. Please refresh all the times. So Vishwa, Virat, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, and Prajna, Ishvara, all these we have already mentioned. Therefore, in this context, we indiscriminately use the word Brahman and Ishvara. Because we discuss the Karanatvam, we use it like that. And to establish the Sarvajnatvam and the Sarveshwaratvam, Shankaracharya talks about the glory of the universe. So by giving 4 adjectives in his commentary in the original Bhashyam. Actually, my original intent was to read the entire Bhashyam for each sutra and then give the general commentary on them, the meaning on them. But that I thought would be too involved. So I will take only some portions of the sutra original itself, of the Bhashya original itself, but I will explain the entire Bhashyam based on the entire commentary. Here Acharya writes in his Bhashyam, Asya Jagato Namarupabhyam Vyakritasya Aneka Kartru Bhoktru Samyuktasya प्रतिनियत देश काल निमित्त क्रियाफल आश्रयस्य मनसाप्य चिन्त्य रचना रूपस्य जन्म स्थिति भंगम यतः सर्वज्ञात् सर्वशक्तेः कारणात् भवति तद ब्रह्मेति वाक्यशेषः. Acharya writes a beautiful sentence here. See, now let us see each of the adjectives in the Bhashya. First one is what? Nama Rupabhyam Vyakritasya. Brahman has created a well-designed universe. One cannot say it is something, some evolution by an accident, some big bang happened according to scriptures. It is not some accident. We cannot accept even an ordinary work of a human being by accident. How can we say the whole world has accidentally taken place? Therefore, Nama Rupabhyam Vyakritasya. Hence, it has a Chetana Karta, a sentient being, an intelligent person is required to create the universe. And next adjective. Aneka Kartri Bhoktri Samyuktasya. This universe has countless jivas who are kartas and bhoktas. And by this, what Acharya means? Jivas themselves fall within the creation as a product. Therefore, the producer must be a non-jiva. All jivas fall within the creation as products. Therefore, the producer should be a non-jiva. Therefore, jiva bhinnatvam is mentioned. Jiva, the Brahman is separate from the jiva. And not only he is jiva bhinnaha, he must be omniscient also. Because prati niyata desha kala nimitta kriyaphala ashrayasya. We find that there is no accident in creation. Every event is an incident caused by specific time, place, specific reason. So it is cosmos. Otherwise, it will be chaos only. Any accident is an incident for which we do not know the reason. Therefore, if we take countless number of jivas, every jiva experiences caused by desha, kala, nimitta, and there are countless jivas going through countless experiences. Imagine the amount of knowledge required to run this great master show in keeping with space, time, nimitta, all of them. It requires infinite intelligence, so sarvajñatvam. And not only that, there are certain instances common to many jivas that Lord has to design that event in such a way that for one and the same event, it should give punya phalam to certain people, and the same event should give papa phalam to other jivas, because they are all the results of their own karma. For example, if you take Brahma Sutra class itself, the class itself is good to one person, and it is not understandable to the other. Actually, one person made a mention to me, as a physicist, I can understand superposition, but this Adhyasa Bhasham seems too difficult, even though there is also superposition. So that is how Ishvara designs the whole process. Class event remains the same. Bhagavan makes it in such a way that one person is able to relate it one way, other person is able to relate it in another way. From one standpoint, it may be punyam, another standpoint may be papam. So within punya papa alone, there are gradation again. See what a design it should be. Every event is designed according to karma phalam of countless jivas. Now we are still talking only humans, understand? Whereas Lord has to take into account all other creations like animals, plants, and everything. So therefore, it is a masterly creation which can be done by sarvajñaha only. Therefore, the first adjective proves it is Chetana Karta. In the Bhashyam, the sentences I read, the first adjective, that sentence reads, it is Chetana Karta, and second is, that proves it is Jiva Bhinnaha, it should be a non-Jiva, different from a Jiva, and the third adjective proves he is Sarvajñaha. Then Shankaracharya uses the fourth adjective, Manasa api achintya rachana rupasya. A scientist can know how the brain functions, but he cannot create a brain. Therefore, even if we know the functioning of many things in creation, we have only the knowledge of it, but we cannot create one. We cannot reproduce any of God's creation. a liver or heart, all those things. Not only there are machines, but they are not sentient things. Not only Lord is omniscient, Lord also is omnipotent. And he has enough power to implement the knowledge and create the whole world inconceivable by us. The ants we can see, we can even destroy them, spray whatever it is to destroy so many ants, but we cannot produce even one ant. Similarly, we talk of producing rain, test tube babies, all that. We admire scientists, but we have to understand the limitations of science. Many things inconceivable, the Lord has implemented, and he is Sarva Shaktiman. Why Sarva Karanatvat? I will take a few more minutes, just a couple of minutes. So Sarva Karanatvat, so Vyatirekena Kulalavat. Kulalavat means the potter. We again Anvaya Vyatireka logic. And now Dan Swami says nicely here, Gatasya Karta Gatagnaha. Patasya Karta Patagnaha. Sarvasya Karta Sarvagnaha. He is Sarva Shaktiman Ishvara. So the fourth feature is what? Sarvagnaha, Sarva Shaktiman. So this is the final meaning of the sutra. So now if we now rearrange the sutra now, Yasmatim, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanate, Ananda Swarupatim, Sarvagnate, Sarva Shaktat, also we can say, Sarva Shaktatim, Prapanchasyam, Srishti Sthiti Layaha Sambhavantim, Tat Brahma. With this, Acharya concludes his commentary of the second sutra. And after this conclusion, he enters into a discussion by introducing a Purvapakshi. He is a Nayayika Purvapakshi. Since that discussion is a useful discussion, we will see that also in the next class, that is tomorrow. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Yo Vedado Swara Prokto Vedante Cha Pratishtitaha Tasya Prakritilina Saya Parasa Maheshwaraha. Sri Krishna.